Hi guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I will be discussing what I thought of the latest and most outrageous episode of the horror anthology series from Hulu, Into the Dark. Last Friday, they dropped their Thanksgiving-themed episode, and it was a doozy. It did not go the way I thought it was going to, but I ended up really enjoying it all the same. It was such a fun and entertaining and ludicrous episode with some surprising lessons to it. Now, before I jump into all of that, of course, and I keep talking for too long, please be warned. This is a spoiler-filled episode review. If you're not caught up on, or if you haven't seen the latest episode of Into the Dark called Pilgrim, do not keep watching or listening, as I will be discussing big scenes, giant spoilers, character details, all that jazz. Basically, spoilers are abundant in this review. You have been warned. Okay, let's jump right into it. First and foremost, big improvement from last year's episode of their Thanksgiving episode. This episode was primarily centered around the actual holiday itself, like this show should be. Last year, they briefly touched on it in a flashback sequence, and the rest of the episode was about a girl who discovers her father is a serial killer, and it played with the themes of family and whatnot, which I guess you could connect to Thanksgiving. But this year's episode, was about Thanksgiving the most twisted, fucked up, imaginable way possible, and I ate it up like the cranberry sauce they were stuffing in their mouths, which ended up killing all of them. Spoiler! But wow, what an episode. I wasn't too sure what to expect. It's are these people who are just taking it way too far with their jobs, or are these entities or some kind of demonic creatures that have taken human form and they're pretending to be old-time pilgrims from way back in the day? And it's no, they're just people dressed as pilgrims, and they're basically fulfilling the wish of our main character, who wished for their Thanksgiving plans to backfire on their face, or at least in her mother or stepmother's face, because obviously she doesn't like her very much, and she resents the fact that her mother hired some reenactment actors to come dressed up as pilgrims and prepare them Thanksgiving dinner and whatnot, which obviously ended up backfiring big time. Dad lost his head, the family was subjected and tortured to unimaginable horrors, but they ended up kicking ass in the end, and I always enjoy seeing a good villain get their comeuppance, and that was very satisfying to watch her chop Ethan's head off. And I also loved it when they all started choking on their food, because it got me wondering, what did she do exactly? When did she have time to slip something bad into their food? And then, of course, to show us, to remind us she was crushing the berries, she grabbed those poisonous ones that they pointed out earlier. I was smart girl, very smart, because I'm how is she going to get out of her chair? Her hands are completely tied behind her back. But it ended up working out, and it turned into an unforgettable climax. I mean, her stepmother fights with Ethan's second in command, the pilgrim woman called Patience, and it's so hilarious. And I don't know if they did it to be funny or unintentionally funny, but she grabs her dead husband's head and uses it as a weapon to strike Patience once or twice before finally killing her with a big kitchen knife. I mean, again, I don't know if that was supposed to be funny or unintentionally funny, but goddamn, that was funny. And the whole episode was just very entertaining, super creepy. It definitely had a consistent creepy vibe to it. And you wanted holiday horror? This was holiday horror. This was just a twisted take on the Thanksgiving holiday, and I absolutely loved it. This episode, I thought, was a perfect example of what other episodes and installments of this show could be. Just even if it's outrageously ludicrous and unbelievable and just downright just make it entertaining, make it dark and twisted, because this is a holiday horror anthology show, and this episode was a perfect example of that. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I sure as hell did. I certainly enjoyed the performance by the guy who played Ethan. He was so unsettling and disturbing to watch, and he increasingly digressed throughout the episode until he was in full-blown crazy mode. And then, of course, he had an awesome death, and all of his followers got exactly what was coming to them as well. And this was probably the most vomit-filled episode of any episode so far of the series of Into the Dark. But it wasn't gross vomit. Well, it wasn't like gross like food vomit. This was more like poison blood vomit, which is somehow less nasty to me. But wow, what an episode. Super entertaining, very unexpected. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, it actually, despite the silliness and like the ludicrous story that it was, it actually had some pretty good lessons or points, which is be thankful and grateful for what you have, because before you know it, it could be gone in a flash. And also, you should look at things from also look at things from another perspective. Like, we may take everyday items for granted as we go about our lives, completely unaware how someone would give their arm or their leg to have what we have. I don't know if that was exactly the sentiment or the moral of the story they were trying to push upon us, but they're definitely touching upon the themes of gratefulness, thankfulness, obviously because it's Thanksgiving, But despite the silly story that it was, I think it had a pretty good lesson behind it about being grateful and thankful for what you have and not forgetting that. Although I might be reading too much into it, but what do you guys think? I want to hear your thoughts and your opinions on this episode. I absolutely enjoyed it. I'm going to have to rewatch the climax because that was like the most entertaining part of the film, when they all start choking up on the berries and they finally kill Ethan and Patience. That was awesome. Super entertaining, really creepy. I hope you guys liked it as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future episode reviews of Into the Dark, which airs new episodes the first Friday of every month, usually themed to the major holiday of said month. Have a great rest of the night, guys. Thanks for watching, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.